say it a lot in my videos, and I'm going to repeat it again today. I'm not getting any younger. It's a couple more years and I'll be on my 60th. I'm not quite there yet, but the point is I've literally been around for more than half a century. On top of that, I've changed a lot in terms of who I was and who I now am. I started out as what would be termed a scientific atheist, and I'm now very obviously, for anybody who knows me, I hope very obviously in any case, I'm a Christian. I'm a believer in God. I'm a believer in Jesus, who is the Christ, who is the anointed one, the Messiah, right? And the result of that maybe is that I have maybe a little bit more of an eye on the various ways that things have changed over the course of time. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about that on a thing I'm titling Impostors today on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. By the way, I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Friday, the 17th of December of 2021. Thank you for everyone who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Remember that Rumble is my preferred platform. I get it if you watch me on YouTube or wherever you happen to do so. Rumble is my preferred platform, though. And today we're going to talk about imposters. And, of course, I'm going to go through my notes really quickly, and this should give you some idea basically what I'm saying. If you know me, you're aware I have pretty much zero time for the standard celebration of most holidays. An exception for me is Thanksgiving, and it's because I get a chance to hang out with family and give thanks. And I really like that. I really think that's a wonderful thing. Thank God for the various things that He's done in my life and so forth. These days, mostly that's not a thing anyway. After all, what's Valentine's Day about? Well, what about Easter? Even Christmas is being invaded by imposters. At least Valentine's Day sort of celebrates St. Valentine. Valentine, however you want to say his name. Granted, the rampant commercialism is obvious and horrible. Halloween being a celebration of All Saints' Eve, you probably would never guess if you weren't already aware. After all, it's about dress up and candy for the most part these days. Easter is about a bunny, and yet again, candy rather than the resurrection of Jesus. The same sort of thing applies to Christmas. Most people don't care that Santa Claus was actually a supposed Christian saint. Catholic, I'm not sure. Orthodox, I don't know. But saint, right? They surely don't care about Christmas being the celebration of the birth of Christ. The birth of Jesus, right? They don't care about that. The pattern in all of these is imposters. Often it's people, sometimes just things. It's a sign of where we are today. Why be uncomfortable talking about Jesus? Why worry about supposed All Saints' Day? We can't even discuss the sacrifice of St. Valentine, for goodness sake. At least not for the most part. There are those who do it. I've actually seen people who did it. But for the most part, that's not a thing. It's time to start calling out the imposters. That's why I'm talking about this on this edition of the Daily Summation. Done with my notes. Get myself back to where I'm set up here, and then we'll start discussing in earnest. Whether you like it or not, almost every holiday has been co-opted and taken over by imposters. Christmas, like I say, even if you do Kris Kringle or Santa Claus or whatever you want to call him, the point is, Christmas wasn't about giving of gifts. It wasn't about receiving gifts. It wasn't about Santa Claus. It was about the birth of Jesus Christ. Easter was about His resurrection, right? That was what it was intended to be about. It wasn't about the Easter bunny. It wasn't about chocolate. It wasn't about Easter egg hunts. It wasn't about any of that. It was about the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. That's what that was intended to be a celebration of. Halloween, the day before All Saints' Day. Granted, I don't believe in All Saints' Day, and therefore Halloween doesn't have particularly much meaning to me as it happens. Okay, and the same thing is true, like I say, you've got Valentine's Day, you've got Christmas, you've got Easter, you've got Thanksgiving, which for many people is stuff yourself with food and watch football or whatever day. I don't even know what everybody does with it, but the point is These days, it's not even about giving thanks. Now, I want to be fair on something and sort of relate this to what I've said before about this same subject in past. My attitude for a very long time is special days are not a thing for me, and part of the reason is that I believe that you ought to celebrate both the birth and the resurrection of Jesus Christ if you're a Christian every single day. Now, I don't have a problem with somebody carving out a day where they set that day aside and use it for that purpose. But what I see happening is then that day ends up being co-opted if it actually becomes a standard thing for people to do that on that particular day. Now, you can make the argument that that's up to you or up to me or however you want to look at that. For my part, I won't say that I necessarily do anything special on Christmas to celebrate the birth of Christ, but I hope that I make it clear that the birth of Christ is one of the most important historical events to ever have occurred. And assuming, and I believe this is true, okay, there are others who do not, and that's why I say assuming, that Jesus Christ rose from the dead on the third day, rolling away the stone from the tomb, Easter likewise is the same. Okay, it is probably the most important day in the history of humanity. I don't care if you agree with me. You may say, someday in World War II or whatever. That's your right. You can do that. But what you need to understand right now is as a Christian and looking past this world, I can no way come to the conclusion that any day is more important than Easter. And the second most important day I can imagine would be Christmas, the birth of Christ. Okay, the day to celebrate the birth of Christ. Now, let's be fair, right? Christmas is probably not when Christ was born. Some people say that it was, and they claim to have evidence to that effect, and I'm okay with that. I'm not arguing with them. I just am really questioning whether or not that's the case. Easter the same. Is it the day he actually rose from the dead? I don't know. But regardless that, these days were intended to be celebrations of those things. All Saints' Day, like I say, I don't hold with, and therefore Halloween the day before All Saints' Day, I don't really hold with that either. That having been said, I think that there's something to be said for celebrating those who went before in Christ, and particularly those who were willing to live their faith and literally be martyred for it in many instances, right? I think there's something to be said for that. Having an actual holiday called All Saints' Day or All Hallows' Day, I don't know that I necessarily believe that's a significant thing. But I want to just say again, this is one of the reasons that I do not tend to celebrate those special days, because in my mind, it allows for the days to potentially become polluted. And the thing about it is this: you want to have a day when kids dress up and go and get candy? I don't care. That doesn't bother me. Okay, you want to have a day when people give gifts to one another and put festive trees in their houses, or supposedly. That's kind of strange to me, and particularly that it happens to co-opt the day that Jesus Christ was supposed to have been born, or at least the celebration of that day, right? You want to have a day when Easter, when a bunny hops around distributing eggs, or children go on egg rolls or egg hunts or whatever kinds of things. I'm okay with that too, but again, the day that Jesus Christ rose from the dead probably in my mind is not that day. So again, my attitude is, you want to celebrate the birth of Christ, I not only count it I count it a good thing. You want to celebrate the resurrection of Christ, I count that even better. You want to celebrate various other things, Thanksgiving and so forth, where you actually thank God for the various things that he's done in your life, that is a wonderful thing. But just know that if you make days surrounding those things, people will intentionally co-opt them in order to try and destroy the faith that exists, right? Among other things. They're doing other things too. They want to secular humanize the world, basically, a lot of these folks. That's what I'm trying to say to you. And that's why I wanted to talk on imposters today. Hope you're having a good day today. Again, I need to go ahead and wrap up. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Friday, the 17th of December of 2021. That means tomorrow will be Saturday, the 18th of December of 2021. Remember that this evening will be the beginning of the Sabbath for those who observe it, and it'll conclude tomorrow at sundown, as far as I get it, on the 18th of December. Hope you have enjoyed joining me on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, or wherever else. Thank you for having done so. Remember that Rumble is my preferred platform, and that you can give me a positive Rumble or a boxing glove. That is a plus or a boxing glove on Rumble to show that you've enjoyed or found my content worth your time. You can give me a minus on Rumble if you don't believe that's the case. You can do the same thing on YouTube. You can give me either a thumbs up or a like or a thumbs down or dislike on YouTube if you either enjoyed my content or you didn't. Obviously, whichever based on that fact. Remember that if I put my content somewhere and comments are available, I will do my best to review those comments, and I will try and pay attention, internalize them, decide whether or not something needs my consideration and whether or not it needs a reply comment, and I will do that if I have the ability to do it. Subject for today has been imposters, and tomorrow we're going to talk on a subject of stealing the future. That's what we're going to talk on tomorrow. You'll have to tune in tomorrow to see what I've come up with for that. It's not really all that surprising, but I think it will be worth it for people to consider nonetheless. Again, I hope you're having a good day today. I hope everything is going well for you. I hope you're moving ever closer into that weekend, and that the weekend will go well for you, whether you're working or not. Coming up on Christmas, coming up on the end of the year. And again, I continue to hope that people will, do better and better. And obviously, I would love to see you on Saturday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Friday, the 17th of December of 2021. Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.